Let's begin.
So what do you think? We've got 15 strength, so we can punch a few things.
It's always nice to see those stats in advance. I always forget that we can check. But having strength early removes a lot of doubt from the early game. Very important that we see what our runners start with here. 2 chests and a key. Look at that sync, and we're gonna have double keys here and gold, which means they're going to be able to key up immediately and have access to every treasure chest.
I always make note of how much money you get. Unfortunately, MisterHomes does not have that very prized hand axe amount of money, but that doesn't matter as much when you're probably going to be buying keys right away.
Right, he definitely doesn't care. He's expecting to find a gold chest pretty early, and even if he doesn't, he has strength, so it's not a consideration for him to reset at this point. He's going.
So yeah, we're just going to be stocking up on keys here, and then I assume our runners will be checking out the treasury. There's also a chance someone might check out the basement. MisterHomes checking that out right away, and BT going for the same thing. All right, what are we going to find?
This is interesting. Last race, I knew BT would check the basement first because he did so last race, but I actually thought MisterHomes would go for the treasure first.
So I think this is the grave.
MisterHomes looks like he's about to get the treasure. BT's blocked by an armored knight, and MisterHomes attacks the gold man. I assume that was a mistake,
And yeah,
but I don't know for sure.
so there is a little bit of talk in chat too about how there's a potential swamp start. I, for one, am very excited to welcome our beautiful swampy map.
I was excited for the last race, but it was only 4 steps for me. Here we have the token, the harp.
Another harp.
I don't know what that one is.
One moment. 3 harps.
Fairy water, and the other one was a magic key. Pretty sure. Maybe not. He's looking around. Token silver harp, fairy water. I don't think he has a sword.
Not a real swamp seed. What is life? Oh look, we can buy keys right away. Oh. So normally Remolder is very exciting to find right away, of course, but because we started with keys, it's kind of irrelevant at this point. So they might be able to buy a nice weapon. MisterHomes going right for that, whereas BT goes to the chest and finds a torch.
I'm not looking at the numbers, and I'm not 100% sure that either player has a safe path off of the swamp. And I'm really curious if they would want to re-roll this, or if they'd look for some crazy thing. Remolder, unfortunately, the only town, other than Hawksness, of course, that does not sell herbs, so that's not an option.
I feel like they're safe. They have heal more, and, you know, there's a town there. All I have to do is not die, so they can stay at the inn. It's that easy.
They have heal more, that'll do it.
Yeah.
A good point made in chat by Lorgon. Even if everything I said was true, they could use harp strats. But you see BT there using heal more. And I'm curious to see what kind of enemies both players are going to encounter here. BT starting off with 3 against a Magidrake. He's trying to do a manipulation for excellent move, but it didn't work.
The RNG got the best of him there. Shucks.
And MisterHomes is still trying this guy too. Is he within range? No, he ran away. This cave is swamp south, by the way, so another option for our runners. And I'm sure they cannot wait to get at least 1 level and see if they can get the opportunity to go into the grave.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find something less strong than the Magidrake. That's going to be a little bit much for them to take out. Unfortunately, it looks like our beloved Zone 0 is in the swamp and not in the hills over here.
I believe that is correct. And MisterHomes finds a slime in Zone 1, but unfortunately, they can run away at level 1. Very unfortunate. And MisterHomes has a good shot at a Magician here. This would be a superb start. It would get him to level 2, and level 2 could dig him out of this hole.
We'll see what we get here. Got 17 power. Dear me, that's lovely. And 12 hit points and a new spell, and 4 agility, I suppose. So that'll definitely help with getting out of the swamp and also punching things.
The power's so big, he's not even going to be concerned about his HP. He tries the Magidrake, and he sees that he's too low to finish one off. So he's going to Death Warp, get his HP back, and now the grinding's going to go really smoothly for him. Meanwhile, we'll see if BT gets the same opportunity if he finds a magician or something.
So I did notice, I'm pretty sure I saw the magic Drakey run away. That could be a little bit of concern, just because you are getting out of the swamp already low on health.
MisterHomes knows that wolves are still out of range. They would be the most valuable enemy by far in this scenario, but they're just not killable yet.
So I saw BT play the harp just there, and we've encountered a gold man right on top of the castle. I'm curious if he will be trying that again, see what else is in that zone. In this cardinality, as Neiman is asking in chat, what does the harp do?
An excellent question, as it is so rarely seen in these seeds, and yet, as already noted, there are scenarios where it's the only thing you can do, or the best thing. When you play the harp, it attracts an enemy. What enemy could it attract in Randomizer? Apparently anything, because BT just got a red dragon on top of the castle. So maybe it's worth a try. It's kind of hard to say. In Vanilla Dragon Warrior, it just, no matter where you are on the world map, I'm pretty sure it just attracts a very weak enemy. So it's not really usable.
So meanwhile, MisterHomes got up to level 3. Not too much more in that one, so we're just going to be plugging away at the enemies further. I don't... Did you mention, what happens if you play the harp inside the battle?
If you play it inside the battle, you will make your enemy look happy.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it when everybody's happy.
Great question. Covering all the important things today here. Even this far, like 3 years into Randomizer, you just never know what unique situations are going to pop up. BT giving a shot at the grave here. We'll see if he can get to those chests. MisterHomes hasn't been there. Imagine if something like the sword were here. The gold is going to help him out a lot as well.
The herb is going to help slightly. And
it is the
look
sword!
at that!
So who has the advantage now, guys? I mean, this is enormous for BT, and at this point you have to ignore 40 experience, because so many possibilities are open to BT. And you gotta hand it to him. He took the risk, and he got rewarded.
Yeah, MisterHomes has gotten up to level 4. The stats definitely are looking a little bit promising there, but you'll note now that still down at level 1, BT has a higher attack power than MisterHomes. So as long as he can survive through whatever the first attack is, you know, I feel like he'll be catching up pretty quickly. And BT finds a magician. I think this is probably going to be a one-hit kill, and there we go. BT will get to level 2. It's going to be a little easier from this point on for him.
And I do expect BT to propel ahead in experience at this point. There's going to be a long range of time where levels are short apart in distance, and he's going to be one-shotting everything except maybe wolves. So it just makes sense for him to keep grinding. He's going to get level 3 immediately here.
So MisterHomes, I think, went over to the west of the castle, looking for a different zone, probably just to find out whatever is good to kill. Finds a Scorpion, but it doesn't run away. And BT is back in her favorite little zone with the Magic Drakeys over here, and some wolves. Going for that wolf, and I think we might be okay here. It still will be a bit dangerous, but yeah, in 2 hits, the wolf will definitely give a lot of experience pretty quick. And just like that, he's just about caught up to MisterHomes.
MisterHomes still having no trouble fighting and exploring. He'll get a little edge in exploration. People in chat mentioning that BT could initiate a gold grind, but when you explore and find something like the sword like that, and it's just so game opening, your mind just sort of goes into, oh man, you know, after being stuck for a few minutes, you're just like, now I can get the levels. And sometimes you don't think about other things, and he's not really going to miss out on not grinding, because again, he can 2-shot wolves here. So many options open to him. Unfortunately, that one kills him, but he's got a ton of options. And MisterHomes evidently getting lucky with the encounter zones as he explores. He continues to keep experience, and he's found a town.
And level 5 actually looked to be pretty promising from what I saw. I missed the first couple stats, but I think that was another decent big MP boost. So that's going to help a lot with the heal mores for the exploration. We find the town, and it's Breckenry. So, you know, nice little cheap inn, and can buy herbs and torch if you'd like. A dragon scale, maybe some weapons? Maybe.
Always worth checking what's there, especially with the prospect of a gold grind looming. They both know the grave is in Tantagel. And even if they have checked the treasury and seen that gold isn't there, there are 5 more chests. Very likely the one's going to contain gold, especially when you don't find any.
So MisterHomes purchases a club, is now up to clothing and a club.
gradually progressing through the tree. And there's level 5 for BT.
Yeah, I feel like BT is definitely going to be taking over the lead very quickly here with his ability to hit things very hard.
It's pretty neat that Mr. Holmes has maintained a slight lead for this long. He's just been getting so lucky with encounters. You see, he's still encountering red slimes. Meanwhile, BT discovers the first Dragon Lord breath, and it is from the wolf, probably about 25%, considering we hadn't seen it yet.
Mr. Holmes goes north and finds a cave. It's another dark one, and I assume that's Tablet.
Yeah, he doesn't seem interested in... Oh, no, never mind. He walked back to the left, so I thought he wasn't going to check it, but he is.
And I want to assume by now that would be the experience lead for BT about 10 minutes in.
You gotta figure Mr. Holmes is gonna get the sword pretty soon. He knows the grave is there. You've gotta figure it's gonna be on the agenda as soon as something defeats him, pretty much. Ironically, he's finding good monsters, not dying, and getting a little bit of experience, and somehow that's bad for him in this scenario, but it's just not likely that it would be. So he's gonna keep exploring for as long as he can, and he's got that information.
So it looks like just past Tent Angel to the east there, it's actually a bit of a dead end. So that's probably going to force BT to go into the swamp as soon as he's ready to walk around a little more.
And whenever he does, again, he'll find the same decent options that Mr. Holmes has found all this time. And Mr. Holmes finally being sent back. BT now going through the swamp cave, but will he make it through? That's another story if Armored Knights are there. A 1 HP survival.
And he does have a lot more heal mores at his disposal now. So it looks like Mr. Holmes will be making the break for the grave now, I'd assume heading this way. We might be able to see a sword if he can get away from all of the other enemies down there. So we have the swamp cave backdooring into Gadenham.
Lots of cool stuff going on here. Was there a gold chest in the treasury?
I don't believe so. I think it was just in the town, or the grave.
So Mr. Holmes is going to miss out on the grind here, but again, because the sword is so strong, it's just not going to matter all that much. Even if this Armored Knight defeats him, I believe he'll come right back in, and maybe he will remember to open those chests and try for gold, but we'll see.
So BT checks in the shop. Could only really buy a chainmail at this point, but there is one, so hesitates a moment, but then does decide to purchase it.
And Mr. Holmes is indeed going to open up those chests. And there is gold right at the top, so he'll have access to that immediately. And you've got to figure, now that he'll have the sword and a bit of a gold edge, you know, he's explored a lot, he's, you know, right back in the hunt for experience, and it's pretty much impossible to say that he's behind. This is a very close race.
Oh my, so outside of Garenham, which we found with the Swamp Cave, there was actually another town on the top and an additional cave here. Will this be one of the bright ones? It is. It's the Staff of Rain Cave. No more harp strats, unfortunately, for BT, but I think we're over those after we found that red dragon on the castle.
It would have been amazing if someone made an enemy look happy in a final match, but pretty unlikely. So the Silver Harp out of the way for BT, and the other town is Hawksness. Not really anything fightable yet, unless... I mean, he only has 4 heal mores. There's a chance, but I think he'd rather heal in Garinham first before he checks. It looks like that's what he's going to do.
And Mr. Holmes picks up Erdrick's sword. Must be feeling maybe a little bit worried about that now, just because if you know the sword is right next to the start, you know, there's always a bit of worry in the back of your mind, but at least now that he has it, he can get a lot faster through the other enemies.
And BT's experience lead is not enormous right now. It's not significant in terms of determining a lead. So, not really a problem for Mr. Holmes right now. It looks like he didn't do a gold grind. Oh, that's right, the first chest was gold, and that was, yeah, okay.
Looks like BT is going to see what the enemy is, and it's an Armored Knight with an attack first. That's unfortunate for BT's side, but I don't know. Do you believe in him?
He knows he can beat this thing if it doesn't have a heal spell, or, you know, Dragon Lord Breath or something like that. So far, it's looking pretty good. I think he's going to beat it, and we'll see what the prize is if he does.
No bad surprises, please.
You can see the Armored Knight can do as much as 41,
Ooh.
and there's a 46. That is stunning.
Yeah, that was the big concern. There's not really much for defense at the moment. You got a chainmail and a dragon scale, but that doesn't amount to very much.
And that's incredibly bad luck. If that hadn't happened, he'd have 172 experience, which is so huge at this juncture. And the armor could be under there as well. I think he's going to go right back. BT finally exploring east of Tantagel, discovering the dead end. And he'll be branching out from here.
And MisterHomes now takes a look out east to see there's not much there. We'll wait to see if he does decide to go through the swamp cave or not. But meanwhile, there are just some very nice enemies in this zone that you can pick off pretty quickly once your strength is up to this point. And he reaches level 6 as well. Wow, that's a very generous level.
Meanwhile, BT fighting Wraith Knights and Magi Wyverns makes it to level 7, looking like a very small level, although he does get 13 MP.
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, if he's heading back to the Armored Knight right away, at least the MP can help with a little bit more healing.
And there's so much for him to fight in this cave. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to... Oh no, he didn't have enough HP to survive that attack. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to fight an Armored Knight on the way. They're definitely beatable. And they're worth so much right now.
Plus, it's just good practice, you fight one, you can fight one in an abandoned city.
He would gain something like 40% of his current experience beating one, so yeah. Given that they're so hard to run away from, it's really not a choice. And MisterHomes continuing to explore and continuing to find valuable enemies. Unfortunately, the Knight has Dragon Lord Breath and sends him back home.
Enemy number 2 that has been taken under the wing of the Dragon Lord to learn how to breathe.
BT cleaning up another Magi Wyvern, and these enemies are just worth so much. 2 Magi Wyverns so much easier to beat than a single Armored Knight, and yet the 2 Magi Wyverns get slightly more experience. So a really valuable trip through the Swamp Cave for BT, and he's going straight back to that Armored Knight. He's going to see if he can get Erdrick's armor, and the Armored Knight will also give him level 8 if he's successful.
And he can definitely be a little bit more careful this time, since he does have more MP and is also kind of aware of at least, I can get 46 damage done to me, maybe I should be a little more careful.
Absolutely.
Always, in the beginning game, a little bit tough to determine exactly how much damage just about how these large enemies will do to you, just because, you're very low defensive.
Another unfortunate Dragon Lord Breath from a Knight to MisterHomes. I think he got preempted, it was just unlucky. So he's going to go out and explore again. Interesting that he's not considering the Swamp Cave yet. I guess he's just had such good luck on the overworld, he wants to keep nabbing those enemies on the way. The only exception, of course, being those Knights. They're a little dangerous still. But once he reaches level 7, which is now 1 enemy away, that is going to give him enough HP to survive a Dragon Lord Breath, and then he could actually consider 2-shotting the Knights, so that's something to consider.
But if he was 1 enemy away, why didn't he kill that slime?
Lol.
So BT kills the Armored Knight, gets the next level. Let's see. Not too generous overall, but a little bit more, and we discover the Fairy Flute.
Kind of anticlimactic after all the effort put into that Armored Knight, but again, experience was so worth it. And if he had more MP, I wouldn't have been surprised if he fought another one. They're just so valuable right now. He's going to go after this Demon Knight. MisterHomes, by the way, got level 7 at the same time as BT got level 8, and he now has the HP to handle Dragon Lord Breath. And it looks like he's going to try and grind right outside of that town. This is kind of interesting. He's just found so many good enemies. Yeah, he doesn't hesitate to attack an Armored Knight. He knows this is a good grind enemy.
And little does he know this will be practice for the future, most likely. It is possible to miss the armor and the token. Oh wait, no, we already have the token. He might find the armor before he gets to Hawksness, but,
Yeah, if the armor's in coal, both players won't even have to go into Cantlin. That's actually what happened to me in the previous race as well. I saw Cantlin on the map and walked right by it. No possibility for BT to beat this red dragon, unfortunately, so he'll be sent back.
Yeah, they're just a little bit too much to deal with at this point. They do so much damage. You would not really be able to make any progress there at all.
Mr. Holmes now ready to set up that gold grind. He might also check the two basement chests. I really never know. I've seen a lot of runners very recently just skip those two basement chests and hope that they don't have to take a look. And the fact that both players have the sword, that lends more credence to the idea. They also have the harp out of the way, so it's really just the stones, usually, that they'd be worried about. Maybe the death necklace will factor into this seed. They already have high HP. That's a lot to think about.
Yeah, and also not having seen the mountain cave yet. That's a lot smaller of a cave. It takes a lot less time to get the 5 chests in there than in the grave, so they might just be thinking of that too. As well, Mr. Holmes hasn't seen the town of Garenham yet, so those chests are still a mystery to him.
Mr. Holmes playing it as safe as possible. Again, he knows Armored Knights are in here. Casting a Heal More at over 50 HP, and he's going to skip over the gold chest, open at least one, and then move over.
Alright, so I think we're going to go shopping in a little bit. How exciting! We're finally going to get some of that defense.
BT continuing to take advantage of those delicious Magi Wyverns. This is definitely one of the best enemies these guys can be fighting. I think an Armored Knight is not quite as good because they take so long to kill. The Magi Wyvern's just so valuable for a 3-shot kill, propelling BT ahead in experience. But of course, Mr. Holmes has other things to make up for it. He's got a little bit of an exploration lead and a lot of gold right now. If he's seen a silver shield, he'll be getting that, and of course some heavy armor as well. And BT's aiming high. He's using the fairy flute on this golem. This would be an enormous chunk of experience. And you never know, with Erdrick's sword, the enemy might just stay asleep, and of course he's got lots of heal mores as well. There's an excellent move, and he's gonna get it. If not on this attack, it's gonna be the next one, and he got it.
Yeah, that was a very lucky, excellent move there, but that's going to propel him up to the next level. So courage and wit, what do we have? Nothing that much.
2, 7, 1, and 0. Still a nice block of experience for him to have out of the way, and discovering yet another delicious enemy. Mr. Holmes couldn't fight a Druid Lord last time he found one, but now that he has the sword, he will be able to. Another great chunk of experience.
So unfortunately for Mr. Holmes, he's having quite a lot of difficulty with his Goldman, who had the sleep spell. Lucky for him, he does run away and is able to cast Heal More. So we're getting very close to the door, and we get to the stairs. Meanwhile, BT has found the tablet cave. I believe it was fairy
Flute.
Water in there?
Oh, water, that's right.
The flute was not in the tablet cave.
That's
I know
right.
We had an epic battle for that. So Mr. Holmes goes over to the magic armor shop. Is finally going to have some decent defense power. And we'll stay at the inn.
Now, I'm assuming by the gold total that Mr. Holmes was accounting for the possibility of dying in that cave, and has not found a silver shield. So, even if he had died, he could have bought magic armor and a large shield with the current total. So that makes sense.
Ah, so wolves have heal more. We have learned. We knew they had Dragon Lord breath, but that's just really pesky.
It looks like Mr. Holmes is going straight for Armored Knights. And who can blame him? They're so valuable. This is a really rare situation. 23 minutes into a seed, we see BT has triple the experience of Mr. Holmes, and yet again, it's not enough to say that BT is ahead right now. This is still a very close race, and Mr. Holmes will have an easy time gaining experience rapidly now.
Yeah, that magic armor is going to help quite a bit. BT's defense is still just the chainmail and the dragon scale. So the magic armor, not quite as, legendary as Erdrick's armor, still does help quite a bit, and it is the best thing that you can purchase without having found it.
And it does have one added quirk that most people might not know about, which is that it doesn't lower the damage from fire breath, but it does lower the damage from hurt, and specifically, importantly, hurt more. Might not come into play as much right now in this seed. I haven't seen much hurt more, but it can be very important.
I mean, I don't think I'd call that a quirk. I think I'd call that a function.
Quirk was the wrong word.
It has magic in the title.
The magic armor also heals 1 HP per step.
For 4 steps.
Per 4 steps, excuse me.
Yes.
Level 8 for MisterHomes. And wow, level 10 for BT at the same time.
A lot of single digits still, but making some progress up there. Didn't look like anything too exciting for the spells, so that did flash by pretty quick. Yes, Retro Grizzly Bear. Erdrick's armor is 1 per every step for armor healing.
BT trying to run away from that armored knight. No dice. MisterHomes fighting a Wraith again. Everything is in play and valuable everywhere. Even red dragons might be fightable now that both players have more HP and a lot of heal mores.
Yeah, I feel like they'll still hit for quite a bit, but, I mean, with Healmore and the sword, you almost start to feel a little bit invincible.
I feel like every decision at the top level is fascinating. In this case, MisterHomes has had free range for exploration. He's found a lot of good enemies all over the place, and still he is sitting here presumably trying to fight armored knights and liking the other enemies in the zone as well. This is a fascinating decision to me. He's decided that now is the time to get a little bit extra everything. Power, response speed, HP. He doesn't need more MP right now, but that's the thinking that's going on right now, and it's just fascinating. He's going to use those 3 desert tiles to try and find armored knights.
And it is working out. It's, you know, very survivable now that he's got a good sword and an armor. A shield is going to be the next thing in question, but we have not been able to purchase one yet.
BT just continues to find fantastic enemies everywhere he goes.
Yeah, the Swamp Cave is a nice little mini grind on the way there.
Is there gold in these chests? That must be the reason BT's going back through here.
I don't remember gold, but, you know, there's one chest, and I could be wrong. There is. Good call.
So he could set up a gold grind through... Oh, no, the Swamp Cave isn't in home, so that won't work. He could set it up the other way, though. He could take the chests here, then go in the Swamp Cave, take a Death Warp, and go from there.
Yeah, the gold grind isn't really so much in BT style, though.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch him lately. He's blowing the fairy flute in town. That's interesting.
Nothing happened, that's a lie.
I guess he was looking for the fairy water, that makes
He
sense.
played a beautiful tune. You all
Agreed.
heard that. Yeah, he's just looking to not get too many encounters now. It's definitely nice to be able to avoid the enemies. Though when your agility is so low, are you really going to be avoiding that much? I know he'll avoid the little babies, but it might not be. It depends what's in the zones, I suppose.
So yeah, BT has not done gold grinds in his latest few races, and it's been really interesting to watch. Sometimes he has the large shield when the silver shield is available, and it would clearly be useful, and yet it seems to work really well for him, saving that little bit of time and having really close finishes. So we'll see what happens in this race.
The BT just making a big, good exploration on the... I believe this is the second continent.
Yeah, assuming they're separated.
Yeah, it's true. We don't have confirmation of that yet.
They usually are, so it's so easy to assume.
Trying to look to find anything new. Meanwhile, MisterHomes does continue to grind. How are we doing for experience? We're at 1231 versus something that we'll find out when BT gets into a battle.
He's still sticking to that one area, saying that he doesn't need to explore as much as he wants extra strength and agility right now.
Yeah, so now the runners are only about 600 apart.
Yeah, again, BT just continuing to find fantastic enemies everywhere. A really good bout of exploration for him. And MisterHomes has found a lot. It's easy to presume that, you know, he's thinking about a bunch of stuff like the possibility of learning Hurt more at a near level. There are so many reasons to do some grinding right now, having found so much, especially Erdrick's Sword, having that out of the way. Very important.
Yeah, it's always a lot of freedom at these levels when you don't even have to worry about purchasing a sword, just to get you really going and, you know, find your way out into the world. It's the bravest dragon warrior.
Unlucky dodge from the Star Wyvern there. BT will play it safe and heal more, just in case there's another dodge. And there was! But now he will take down the Star Wyvern for level 11.
I knew there was a reason we called them jerkbirds.
And remember I said both players getting levels at the exact same time? Well, now the levels are about 600 experience apart, which is where the experience lead remains at this point. And MisterHomes is going to get level 10 just as BT gets level 11 once again.
Yeah, just in sync right here. That's fun to watch. So 0 agility, nothing too large, but a new spell for BT, which is Repel. So he's not casting it right now, but I feel like that could be pretty useful.
I feel like as soon as he finds a weak enemy, he'll cast it. In the meantime, the fact that he did not learn Hurt More works against BT, against MisterHomes here. MisterHomes is definitely hoping for Hurt More. But again, this is still a very good grind for him, and it's just such a fantastic group of enemies he's finding. You really can't blame him for doing this. And it's just working really well for BT. He continues to find great enemies everywhere and maintain that experience lead. Sent back by a blue dragon, though, so we'll see what happens next.
Now, there's a lot of discussion going on in chat right now about MisterHomes' decision to be grinding instead of exploration. I mean, there can be arguments for both ways. I mean, because you can gain the experience as you're walking, or if you can get the levels just in one spot, you can have a safer walk when you get out there. MisterHomes just got an excellent dodge on a Demon Knight.
Yeah. And again, I guarantee you, it would look different to all of you if MisterHomes just learned Heal More. It's working, or sorry, Hurt More. It's working against him that he's not going to learn it anytime soon. But again, the idea is to increase your experience once you've found a lot of things on the map, and especially Erdrick's sword. Just knowing that he has the sword means he could skip over a lot of caves if he finds things like the Stones of Sunlight as soon as possible. So really, he's just hoping to find the stones in the mountain or grave and skip everything else, and then he's gonna look really smart for having done this grind early if it works out that way. That's the idea. Again, it's not a guaranteed best move, it's just a really good idea. So we'll see what happens in this seed.
Oh, got a Sherlock sighting over here. Nice moat, nice swamp, nice red dragon playing outside in the yard.
It's time for BT to test this enemy out, and again, if it does not have Heal More, I believe it will prevail. He took 48 there and still doesn't have to heal more yet.
Yeah, they're already at 99 HP. So technically that's already, you know, safe-ish to go fight the Dragon Lord, but that also just really helps when you're out exploring. True, he did test this enemy over at Tantagel, you know, a good 30 minutes ago. But he's a little bit stronger now, and older and wiser. He knows what he's getting into now.
It was a little different back then, in all fairness. So you can see already, MisterHomes has greatly closed the experience gap. It is working out well for him, and now it's just going to be a question of how exploration goes for him later. But he's done a great job of closing the experience gap. It's really hard to call what he was doing a mistake. It really seemed like a really strong and good play. And we'll just wait to see if it works out for him.
So we had two caves on BT's side. I'm pretty sure this is Mountain Cave. Smashy in chat seems to also agree with that. The other one, I think we're down to the Stones in the Drip Cave, am I right?
I'll think about it, but that sounds right. We found the shrine and tablet. Yeah.
Yes.
Mountain Cave?
He is currently in the Mountain Cave.
Perfect.
Yes. So we are looking for the Stones of Sunlight. If he does find them in here, he will be all set to make the rainbow drop right away.
And again, if the stones were in here, again, that would work in Mr. Holmes' favor, assuming he finds the mountain cave at a reasonable time. He wants the stones to be in the mountain cave, or oh no, not the grave. He wants them to be in the mountain cave so that he gets to skip all those other places, the bottom of the grave, and any other loose treasure chests, because he's got that sword.
Again, there are more armored knights in here, and they are causing a little bit of a fuss, but, you know, we're getting a little stronger, we're able to handle this. And on our first chest, we have a druid? Wait, no. We've got some gold. At least there are no mimic chests in this one. How would you feel if we made a mod so that we could turn a chest into a red dragon instead? Surprise! Maguru, don't listen to these ideas. Oh no, but speaking of red dragon, we are having a little bit of a encounter here. BT knows he can fight it though still.
Now, the bottom of the mountain cave is short, so this might work out, but BT knows he has no choice here. It's very unlikely he'll be able to run away with 39 agility, and the red dragon is so valuable. There's no considering trying to get away. It's just so valuable, otherwise he's nearly guaranteed to beat it this way, and again, the mountain cave is so short.
Also, this is for the next level. Right?
Yeah, so he's got it right here.
So Mr. Holmes is traveling through the swamp cave and is actually going to check out what is the grind spot. So level 12, nothing too exciting. Still no agility. Question mark? Where have you gone? So unfortunately for BT, he finds a red dragon and he has no heal mores and gets ambushed for an attack of 50.
And Mr. Holmes is going to do the same thing just about a minute later. 12 on a red dragon, and he's got tons more MP here.
Yeah, so that experience gap has been closed quite well by Mr. Holmes. BT definitely does have a little bit more of an exploration advantage, but he also hasn't found any of the other key items.
And this is interesting. It looks like BT has decided to do a gold grind here. He's going to go back into Garen's grave and set it up. It's a rare choice from him, but again, agility is super, super low, and there haven't really been many good shopping options. So he's gonna go for it.
Yeah, he might... Oh, it's Prince Guimond, that is correct. We are not saving Princess Gwaelin today. Princess Gwaelin is the hero, and we are saving Prince Guimond. So BT going to the grave. I feel like it'll definitely be a lot safer this time. It's been a little while since they've tried the grave.
Yeah. Oh, there are red dragons too. I thought it was just armored knights.
Yeah, they are. The armored knights and the red dragons seem to be best friends. I almost said something that would have made BT very happy there.
And now we're at a time where players want to see red dragon. And, you know, BT has a ton of MP, so this works well for him. Mr. Holmes briefly taking the experience lead. BT will briefly take it right back when he beats the red dragon. And we've got a very close race, guys, just as predicted.
So we are taking Prince Guimond on an adventure around the world. Looks like we'll be going to Gardenham with him if the armored knight will agree.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes banking on the possibility. I don't remember seeing the flute in Hawksness, but either way, he's banking on the option. If the armor is on the map, he'll want to save the princess. But if the armor's not on the map, like if there are no coordinates, for example, he just might decide... Oh, wow, he just barely beat that armored knight. He just might decide to take a death warp to drop the princess, to avoid that waste of time at the end. But we'll see. And let's see how much gold BT gets here. It won't be much more than 22,500, which is the most that he can use on equipment, given that he has the sword. And it looks like he's going to take all of it right now.
Mr. Holmes clearing out the chests in the town, and then we'll be possibly staying at the inn? Yes, one of the smaller inns. I think Cole is the smallest, though. So yeah, just as you said, we've got 22,000 gold and a red dragon.
BT heal mooring at 48 HP here again because, oh wow, now 49 he's heal mooring. Again, he has so many heal moors and he's just trying to hold on to that gold. He doesn't want to lose any time from really bad RNGs. So he's going to keep himself totally safe here and he'll probably make it out.
Don't want to lose any of that money. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mr. Holmes has picked up the Staff of Rain, exchanging the Silver Harp for that, and will be finding Hawksness. We'll see how he feels about the Armored Knight. I feel like it will be very good feelings.
So yeah, I've got to assume that Mr. Holmes hadn't seen the Armored Knight yet. He doesn't know the flute is there. And with that Red Dragon, BT again temporarily taking the experience lead. I like noting when the experience lead changes a lot in this particular race.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting section here.
There's the Armored Knight, and BT has found one of the two things he's looking for, the magic armor.
So now I believe our players are equal in the equipment once again.
And in items, too.
Oh yeah. And in experience. Almost. Very close. Again, with this Armored Knight, Mr. Holmes is going to take the experience lead again.
The Stones of Sunlight are the big mystery currently. Where are they? Are the players going to have to go back into the grave, for example? We'll just have to wait and see.
BT does know where the mountain cave is, though, so I want to feel like he might be looking there for it, just because he knows that that's where the largest section of chests are.
That would make the most sense.
So again, BT takes the lead.
Nice. Mr. Holmes taking the princess for a swamp walk, seeing nothing over there. And BT again encountering those excellent enemies in the swamp cave. This Magiwyvern's going to put him one enemy away from the next level. And Mr. Holmes, of course, maintaining the balance. Red Dragon, they're going to be very cool after he beats this one.
And of course he gets an excellent move on it, because he's been very good at just, using the sword very well.
So not only has neither player found a silver shield, but in fact both players have no shields whatsoever. And so they're still taking a lot of damage from things. BT, the first to make it to level 13, gaining a huge 12 response speed, virtually nothing else, but that is really valuable for this juncture in the game.
Yeah, for all the agility they hadn't had so far, I feel like that was definitely overdue.
Again, there are things for players to hope for, like Hurt More, but Hurt More is not as important given, all the blue dragons, red dragons, etc. these players are finding. And I really think response speed was the most valuable thing for them to gain right now, so I think BT was very happy with that level. Still on the hunt for another town, hoping to buy a silver shield. Mr. Holmes, again, just about a minute later, gains level 13, and we have a virtually equal race still. BT again, using that freedom afforded by so much MP to stay totally safe against the Red Dragon, and it's such a valuable chunk of experience. Now he's attacking at 42 here, that's a little scary, but he did survive.
And he did get the magic armor recently, too.
And the response speed gain.
All those things together, he might be safer now. Yeah, we are exchanging leads back and forth here.
It is possible that Mr. Holmes saw the Red Dragon do a 20 damage attack and he knew that he would. Either way, it worked out for him and he's continuing on his way and he's found a town.
So we have a new town. It's going to be relevant. It's going to have the answer of where the armor is, whether or not it's here, and we're hoping for a silver shield. And we have one.
What a huge find for BT. Given the fact that Mr. Holmes doesn't have the gold anymore, he probably won't get a silver shield himself. And agility is pretty low, so there's a good chance that that's something valuable.
And we search the the search spot in Cole, and we have nothing, so now we are confirmed we must find the coordinates, and therefore we're looking for Callan.
So Mr. Holmes will do everything he can to hold on to this princess until he gets the coordinates, and then he'll deliver her home if he still has her.
So it definitely must have been disappointing to, of course, not find the armor there, but it also must have been a very good relief to be able to hold on to all that silver shield money, and then purchase one finally.
I should confirm, Mr. Holmes is playing the princess in this game, and she has saved the prince, and will carry him around the map until she finds the coordinates, and everything's set at that point.
Yeah, though Mr. Holmes is starting to run out of MP. I mean, hopefully for his sake that he will find another town so he can heal up and stay safe. But it's going to get a little bit dangerous. I feel like they're probably in very similar spots. Actually, they're in the exact same spot. They might have just high-fived each other.
Mr. Holmes once again has the experience lead. And in fact, I think BT had it with that one enemy just before Mr. Holmes finished off that blue dragon. So again, really close stuff happening here. Yeah, BT had a very momentary lead there.
So now BT is just finding Goldman. Which, unfortunately, they will not give an experience lead. And yeah, it looks like Mr. Holmes is right outside Cole. Unfortunately, will not be able to be buying a silver shield at the moment, but at least we'll gain some more information. So I believe at this point, the only advantage BT has over Mr. Holmes is the whereabouts of the mountain cave and the mystery cave, which we still have not found yet.
Now this is interesting. Mr. Holmes is probably just checking for a large shield. Again, I really don't think he's going to get the silver shield unless he stays alive. You know, that is in his mind. He still has 9,300 gold. So if he does manage to stay alive in this rough terrain, he will get the silver shield after beating enemies.
Yeah, as long as he can stay alive, he'll still have a chance to pick it up. And, you know, if you're careful, as long as you don't get, like, a surprise Dragon Lord breath ambush, you should be able to stay alive when you've got the heal more and, you know, 100 HP. Actually, even the surprise ambush might not matter so much.
BT taking out a Stone Man, and that is good for yet another experience lead change.
Change in hands all night long. Very close, though. They're fighting the exact same enemy right now, though. If Mr. Holmes... Oh, he doesn't beat it first, unfortunately. I was going to say, if he beats it first, technically he'd have the lead for a wee bit.
So
we'll have
close.
to look for another enemy.
Mr. Holmes' Demon Knight was more dodgy.
They are pretty dodgy, aren't they?
BT surviving an ambush from a red dragon, and another big chunk of experience coming his way.
And this is so amusing. Our runners are in the exact same area. Of course, BT is stopped for the red dragon, but they're very close to each other right now.
There's Sharlock for Mr. Holmes. Not sure if he saw it before. I know BT did.
Yeah, I believe only BT has been over here before, and I think the mountain cave is just north of this, if I remember properly.
So you want to talk about a close race, not only having both so close in experience, but also so close in location. It's just amazing.
There's our mountain cave. So now, if Mr. Holmes will survive, we get to find out that if the Stones of Sunlight are in here or not.
That's definitely what he's hoping for.
Again, we see our gold in the first chest again. I don't believe we saw any of the downstairs chests yet, though, so this will all be new information for us. Unfortunately for BT, takes a death on an armored knight and is sent back home. So for now, I want to say the advantage is off to Mr. Holmes, having very good proximity to, I assume, what will be, you know, a lot of the last things we need to find.
Will the stones be in here? That's the key question. And I wonder if BT will check the grave for the stones right now. It looks like that.
Yeah, I can't picture any reason for a gold grind, and he had not set it up, so maybe just for proximity, he's choosing to go this way. And Mr. Holmes, ambushed by a red dragon, still doesn't really need to worry about that. He was able to heal up in Cole pretty recently, so it's a lot of heal mores on his side. BT having a little more trouble with the gold man yet again. And now we have dual red dragons.
So Mr. Holmes once again will take a temporary experience lead by a mere 21 experience, and BT has a chance to take it back with this red dragon. Look at how many enemies force both runners into the same situation. Here we have two different enemies, and the exact same result. Both players having to heal more to keep themselves safe and just battle it down. And BT, once again, the first to get the next level. In this case, a huge amount of MP, still no hurt more. And BT is indeed going to check for the stones downstairs.
I feel like in this seed, it was definitely a lucky break that we found the sword right away. Could you imagine getting through those first few levels without it?
It would have been crazy. Would have been similar to the way I chose to play my last seed. But the sword was an early option in that seed as well.
So our first chest on the second floor of the mountain cave was an herb, and, well, we have a little bit of an armored knight here waiting for the second chest to be opened.
And MisterHomes is running low on MP, he only heal more left. This could be a really dangerous walk. It all depends on the enemies he finds and how many. He's using the heal more before delivering the last attack, just in case.
And level 14 for MisterHomes. BT going down to one of the chests and finds the Stones of Sunlight. This is huge for BT.
There it is, it's paid off. And if BT knows where the Jerk Cave is, he can grind at his leisure.
Ah, leisure.
I actually don't know if he's seen it yet or not.
I don't believe any player has found it yet. We still do have the one mystery cave right atop the mountain cave here.
MisterHomes with a lucky desperation run from that red dragon. And if he manages to find this last chest, he will know that the stones are not in here, and that would be huge for him. MisterHomes does temporarily take the experience lead again.
Well, we do have BT fighting a golem.
And you know what that means.
Lots of experience for BT. But first, the last chest.
It's a torch.
I mean, to be fair, we did know that it was not one of the key items, so it could have still been something interesting like the fighter's ring or the death necklace. Those are still unaccounted for, and now we know one of them is... Oh, never mind, we don't know. We have not seen the bottom of the grave yet. Pardon my speaking out of turn.
So valuable for MisterHomes to see that last chest. He knows how lucky he was and how beneficial this is for him. And he's now going to death warp out.
Yeah, I assume he really didn't want to lose hold of the prince there, but at that point, it's pretty much unavoidable there. And he also might take a jump into the grave now that he knows Mountain Cave is a bust, because the only other chest out there is the Stones of Sunlight Cave.
The grave is close by, and it's the most valuable option for him now, having double the chests of any other location, so he will go and check. And he should find the stones pretty soon.
Yeah, now that the MP is fully restored, it'll be a pretty easy walk down there. I don't think we've seen any terrible surprises.
So this race could come down to how long it takes both players to find the rainbow drop. Just how it is. Great enemy options for grinding everywhere.
And of course, Camlin is still at large too.
Cantlin is still at large.
It is. Have you seen the size of it? It's so big.
Lots of shops.
Quite a few. You can even buy some. You can buy some fairy water.
I don't think it would be unreasonable to infer that their economy is bustling.
Capitalism.
That's RPGs. RPGs are capitalism.
It really is true. I mean, have you ever played Dragon Warrior 4? I hear there's a chapter about it. So BT is going right back to the Sherlock Castle area. We know the Mountain Cave is up there, and we're pretty sure he knows that he doesn't want to go into there. But maybe we'll find out what the other mystery cave is. There's a red dragon showing up again. Let's see. So BT does currently have that experience lead, but again, they have been within like one or two enemies of each other lately, and we do recall there are large enemies in the grave here. Oh, MisterHomes actually did set up another gold grind. He does know where the silver shield is, and because he was pretty sure he wanted to come back and check out the grave anyway, I feel like that's definitely a good choice for him there. The only situation is no outside yet.
BT will check the Stones of Sunlight cave just in case the death necklace is there. The fighter's ring could also be useful. It's amazing how much of a difference the Fighter's Ring can make in seeds where you are weaker when fighting the Dragon Lord. It's just amazing the amount of a difference it can make. So 2 possibilities there. Definitely the right decision to check that chest.
Yeah, so the next town we find, we know is Catelyn. The next cave we find, we know is the Jerk.
Such good experience for every enemy here. We can see BT with a little bit of an experience lead and already out Stones of Sunlight. Now is a time where we can finally say he may have a slight advantage. But of course, nothing is set in stone yet, and MisterHomes will be getting excellent enemies everywhere he goes as well.
Yeah, there's still Catelyn in question, and then also, it depends how the coordinates will, what the coordinates will be. Though we do have a very close prince or princess to the castle.
That'll be interesting to see how close they are. If they're far away, will MisterHomes have to re-save the princess? Again, 255 experience for both players coming from these battles.
And MisterHomes now making his way down the grave. He will be finding the stones very soon, and I assume will also be jumping out of the grave. A long walk down there when you know none of the key items are down there.
Given that MisterHomes took an unplanned death warp, I feel like finding the chest right up here is gonna go, he's gonna feel really good about this. He's found the club!
So I see a cave off on BT's side, but I think I think he made a loop and that's the mountain cave again. Yeah, he's walking right by it in that one.
Checking out east of Sharlock now. We'll see if anything's down to the southeast here.
Could this be the Peninsula of Dreams?
BT will find out. It looks like it's narrowing. I always expect it to end here, but you never know if that one sliver is going to go.
But no, Sharlock doesn't have a very nice scenic outside it.
Exploration is going to be very interesting right now. BT has a little bit of a distance lead right now. He might be drawing ever closer. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of maps so far. It looks like there is a peninsula off to the northeast, though. Okay, it's looking less... I apologize. It looks less like a peninsula as we approach it. I don't want to call the wrong landmass here.
Nothing to the south. Going east next. It looks like it's opening up a little. And it looks like there's a sliver of land on the right. Yeah, it could be opening up into something big. And this greatly increases the chances at this point. And there's the Jerk Cave.
Ah, of course. Living way out on, like, the sandy peninsula of doom inside a swamp. What better place for a man such as that?
Doesn't it just sound perfect, folks? Everything makes sense.
So BT, having all of the items now, will be able to make the rainbow drop. The only place in question now for him is Catelyn.
It's worth noting that MisterHomes had a bit of an unfortunate circumstance. Without the outside spell, and having already done a gold grind, he did not want a death warp out of the grave. So he's holding on to that gold. But fortunately for him, he found lots of great enemies on the way out. And he's on his way to pick up the silver shield and then explore for those final 2 very vital locations.
Yeah, so unfortunately for him, I think Cole is in a little bit of a dead end, but there might be more land to explore around there depending on where Catelyn does end up living.
And that's interesting. Will Catelyn be nearby? Will that benefit MisterHomes? Will the 2 players be somewhat equal once Catelyn is found?
Well, I feel like MisterHomes is going to definitely be at a little bit of a disadvantage having not found the Jerk yet, just because he has 2 places to find instead of 1. But still, yeah, the question of that is, I mean, as soon as he gets the armor, it will be a lot easier to walk around.
Still maintaining the closeness between experience. I don't think the lead ever got to 700, and it has switched places so many times. You can't ask for a closer, better race than this. Both players really bringing it.
Yeah, we had BT taking the early lead early on, finding the sword right away. And it took MisterHomes about 28 minutes to catch up, but ever since then, it has been back and forth the entire time.
BT with a very tempting choice here to fight this golem, but I think he'll run. Oh no, he's fighting! I think he'll run after taking an attack, though. He's putting it to sleep, but again, I think just his position, he really wants to maintain his position. But will he go full-on aggression? We'll find out. He is attacking! And it stayed asleep. This might pay off. He's gonna defeat the Golem. And that's level 15, just like that.
So let's see, what does level 15 tell us? Oh my. So that was a very generous level, not entirely in the stats that maybe they're hoping for. The agility is, you know, Sparkover level to go. But it's not that great.
Now, I'm looking at the stats. I didn't look at level 14, but level 15 is definitely go mode, so BT is in full-on find Cantlin and go mode officially. Of course, he has to find Cantlin, then he might have to rescue the princess, then pick up the armor, and then it's go time.
Yeah, I feel like even with this very low agility, you've got some heal mores to spare, so you'll be pretty safe with that. How many heal mores do you think you have to spare with this?
2, maybe 3.
Yeah, so between your high HP and some spare, what's it called? Spare heal mores. In theory, the walk to Sherlock, into Sherlock might not be too bad.
Oh, BT desperately running away. I'm sorry, desperately running away from... And now it looks like he's going to fight this Wraith Knight. He really wants to keep his position and find Cantlin. Sorry, MisterHomes got a silver shield.
Well, hooray. So unfortunately, that's a red dragon back attack for BT. I feel like there weren't too many more places for him to be exploring. So we'll have to see what this brings now. He definitely does have a little bit of a long walk back, but MisterHomes still has 2 places to find.
It does look to me like level 15 was necessary. It'll be interesting to see if BT at this point just runs from pretty much everything, but with the number of armored knights and red dragons with such low agility, I imagine he's just going to be forced into level 16 while he's looking for Cantlin.
Oh, we did pick up the outside spell at some point. I think that was maybe at level 14, but that's going to help going through the swamp cave a little bit. I feel like BT probably shouldn't have too many places to go, so he probably has a very good idea of where to head now.
I want to point out that what I just said actually plays in BT's favor, because I know how aggressive he would go right now if he could, if he had found the armor. The fact that he's going to get an extra level, you know, he could get some extra agility, and we've seen so many vicious enemies in this seed. It's going to work out for him just having that extra level, removing a little bit of the bad luck RNG, a few of those possibilities. But so far, he hasn't run into Red Dragon, so he hasn't been gaining experience. And that also works in his favor right now, because he wants to find Cantlin as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the closest town to Sherlock was, and I think it was Garenham, but if he does find Cantlin right away, you know, we'll have to find out exactly where we need to head so we can get our beautiful new armor.
So here's the first example. BT will take out an armored knight, a big experience gain, and before he knows it, he'll be so close to level 16 that it'll just make sense to finish it off. I think that's Cantlin!
Oh my!
And
Dual
both
Cantlin.
players! Amazing. Again, MisterHomes still has to find the Jerk Cave, and it is far away and isolated. That is a big deal. But it is very exciting to see both players so close together and in the same place, both finding Cantlin near the same time. MisterHomes will get level 15 from this Armored Knight.
First off, let's see where we're searching. Oh my!
47 north, 107
to the east. I love 107 east. So, good news for our runners that the princess or prince is very close to our castle. We definitely know that's going to be a thing, and I think it's going to be go mode for both of them. MisterHomes has not found the Rainbow Drop Cave yet, but has level 15, so... Oh, and look at that, I think we picked up Hurtmore with level 15 as well.
There it is, 47 north, 107 east. And I'm sure MisterHomes will be saving the princess again. Or the prince. Prince Guimon. Here's BT ready to save.
What was it here?
Princess.
Red Dragon?
That
Yes.
it is.
Whatever it is, doesn't really matter. The runners can take out anything at this level. They're both so very strong. And this is interesting.
A little mistake there by BT, and he's gonna take... Oh, he survived!
Oh
The 1 HP survival.
That was a very important survival for BT there.
Every little bit counts in these scenarios.
You know, I feel this race would be so exceedingly close if MisterHomes had found the Rainbow Drop Cave, but that's a pretty big advantage for BT. I don't think MisterHomes was way too far away from the Rainbow Drop where he was. Though, if we're heading very far to the northeast, I wonder if that's going to bring us relatively close to where the Jerk Cave is.
Oh, that's interesting.
With 47 north, though, it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it was way on the very edge of the east part of the map.
Yeah, the east side of the map for sure. That's definitely a possibility. BT's experience lead once again very slight, and in fact MisterHomes will regain the lead yet again after this Armored Knight.
BT going to fill up on MP right away. As soon as he finds the armor, this is it. He'll have everything he needs to go kill the Dragon Lord. And I guess he's just saving all his MP just in preparation for possibly not finding a town on the way back to Sherlock Castle.
MisterHomes saving Prince Guimon for the second time. And again, I really do hope that that 600-ish experience helps BT to make the decision to just finish off the next level, because I think that agility is likely to play a part in this seed. We've just seen so many Armored Knights and Red Dragons. But we'll see.
So MisterHomes, unfortunately, did not have any MP to cast out and have to fight through the Red Dragon again. It's not that hard to fight. I feel like he might walk up to the town of Garenham to get MP, possibly from the inn, but we'll see what the decision is in a moment here.
And oh no, 62 agility against an Armored Knight. He might have beaten it if he had attacked, but now triple run fails so far, and he's down to his last hope here.
He does survive, though.
Not killed yet, and he gets
does
away!
Run. He does herbs. He's going to be able to heal up here, but we know it's not a safe walkout.
BT remembering to stock up on herbs for the final battle. I think MisterHomes will attack this Wraith Knight. Oh no, he ran.
And yeah, as I thought, he's going up to the town so that he can use the wings. He has wings. I didn't realize that. All right then. That's a very good call on his part, though.
You know, I honestly don't know if either player is going the next level. I just sort of assume that both of them should, just because they're super low agility. But you never know how easy Sherlock could be, and both players are in an aggressive mood. Anything can happen.
And now we find out where we are. First off, where are we once we leave the cave?
Oh,
Alright.
wow.
So we're just about parallel. It looks like we just need to go about 40 steps to the east.
It always appears that way to a lot of runners. BT has to go like 90 steps north. And so this could be a pretty far walk. I've made this mistake, about a week ago I made this mistake, and it took me a ton of extra. And we'll see if BT realizes it. It's just such an easy oversight to make, and lots of players have done it. But BT is heading north, so he's on the right track for sure. For all I know, he hasn't made the mistake at all. He's going exactly where he has to go.
Yeah, based on what I'm seeing right now, I think we're going to be very close to where the jerk is. So that's really going to work in MisterHomes' favor.
And now MisterHomes will get the news. A big long walk north and a little bit east. Pretty much 40 north, 40 east from around Sherlock. Something like that.
Yeah, so if BT can keep all the MP, he's going to be ready to go right away. And
I am fascinated that MisterHomes is not just fighting things like Magic Wyverns. I mean, he's 1,500 away. And there's so many options inside Sherlock, and with such low agility, I mean, the next level could be so helpful. But he's in full-on do-or-die mode, essentially.
I really feel like it's going to be out on that Jerk Peninsula.
Let's take a look. BT will probably check the coordinates from here.
So let's see.
A little bit more north and a little bit more east.
Wow. So MisterHomes is going to be led right to the Jerk Cave. That's amazing luck on his part.
An incredible stroke of luck, and this is going to be extremely close. BT appears to be trying to hold on to every last amount of MP he has as well, which, again, he's gonna... maybe he has wings, those to go back, I'm not sure. I think he needs to go 6 to the east and 2 to the south. There it is.
So yeah, I don't see it there. Oh, was the previous peninsula where the Jerk is? Alright. But either way, MisterHomes is going to be very nearby where he needs to be. Yeah, my apologies. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of exactly where the... where everything is when you're not playing yourself. So unfortunately for BT, he takes a death and is sent back home.
I continue to be surprised that both players are absolutely refusing to get themselves closer to the next level. It's so dangerous with the low agility, but again, both players trying to take every last ounce of time they can get.
Now, it's not that far a walk from BT, or for BT rather, to get to Sherlock Castle from here.
It looks like BT is not buying his herb back. I think he only used 1. But yeah, he wants to use the Repel spell and keep his 15th heal more, so he is going to heal up here.
MisterHomes, really wanting to retain position, does use a heal.
And he's grudgingly going to be forced into the next level. I really do feel like it's bad luck for BT that that hasn't happened to him yet. We'll just have to wait and see. But I fear that low agility. BT is ready to dive into Sharp. He makes it to the Dragon Lord with all his heal mores. He's well over 90% to win. And he's going for it.
Rainbow time, and it's Sherlock time. So MisterHomes is actually going in the opposite direction of where he'd need to be to get to Sherlock, or the Rainbow Drop, my apologies.
And now having been someplace he's been before, I think he'll double back and go east. And as I say, he is going to get to level 6. I'm sure he's going to get to level 15. But will he find the Rainbow Drop in time? And now it looks like BT is fighting his way down.
Yeah, depending. If he finds some easier enemies, he's only about maybe, what?
Well, 1,200 now.
8-ish enemies away, give or take?
Yeah, like, it's so close. And I'm kind of relieved, because I think he'll get a little agility. If he gets a little power, that means he can spare extra heal more. So many options afforded to him by just a few extra battles. And he doesn't know it, but he's in the lead right now, and so this is like the last layer of safety for BT. An enormous favorite to win at this point. Here's hoping MisterHomes finds the Rainbow Drop soon. Again, I do think he'll go straight east from here.
So a nice, excellent move on the Armored Knight. That's a very, very good boon for BT. I wonder if his plan is just to fight... Oh no, he did try and run from the Armored Knight. So he does find a Red Dragon and doesn't even hesitate to fight this one. Having such low agility and knowing that he has the extra heal mores as is, I'm sure he feels pretty safe doing that.
I'm not surprised he attacked on the third one there, but I still think he's probably... Wow, is he going to use his herbs? I mean, this is a good play when you have a lot of heal mores and you're going to get a level. Because you're so likely to have extras when you get to the bottom that you can just use a heal more against DL1 and you don't need herbs at all.
Yeah, and especially if you're planning on getting another level, a few more attack can make you need one less heal more. And yeah, if he's at 133, yeah.
And he's going to fight the Armored Knight as well, hoping to defeat it in 3 attacks. This is a little bit of a dangerous moment. Like, hope he heal mores, but he attacked.
So I believe MisterHomes didn't realize that he had not gotten the Rainbow Drop yet.
That's a little scary if he still hasn't found the cave. But again, he is going in the right direction.
Meanwhile, BT took a death to the Armored Knight. Wasn't it Armored Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sent home again.
So desperately trying to hold on to that extra heal more, even though he had extras. Again, he doesn't know it, but he's very lucky to still be in the lead here and have a great shot at taking this home, but anything can happen. Again, he doesn't look like he wants to buy herbs.
I was almost wondering if MisterHomes had just somehow gotten the rainbow drop without us realizing it. That would have been a tough thing to miss, but yeah, no, he is definitely on the right track to be finding the proper spot. So BT once again heading back to Sherlock. This has got to be a pretty bad feeling, you know, to die in Sherlock. But he still does have the lead and will definitely retain it, at least for this final dive, as long as nothing goes wrong.
He's going to fight the Red Dragon, and you see how close he's at that level. About 300 experience away, 300 or 400. So yeah, very likely to get it. And again, MisterHomes is going in the exact direction. I'm sure he'll go south here, yeah, and he's going to find that Rainbow Drop Cave very soon.
If he hugs this wall, he will find it. But he has chosen a different wall.
Oh, he didn't go down through there. Anything can happen. There's still so much land to explore. I thought this was where Cantlin was. I thought that's how close he was.
Yeah, I believe Cantlin is north of here.
And again, I don't know what kind of map making MisterHomes does. BT has said that he has a really good memory. Really good on him for finding everything without a map. I'd be too nervous to do that nowadays. BT has made it back into Sherlock, and again, very close to level 16, which is very likely to be a huge buffer.
He was in the red for health when he came in, but he was able to take a lot of steps and actually had regained a lot of his health, and it looks like he is one enemy away from the next level. He'll be able to breathe easy if he gets the level that gives him a lot of wiggle room. It all depends on what sort of stats he gets. If he gets a lot of MP, it's not going to do him any good now because he can't heal it inside. But if he gets any HP or strength, that'll definitely help him out a wee bit.
So getting all his HP back, BT is ready to take on a red dragon rather than risk the very unlikely run. And it is going to take him 4 attacks, but he's all set. Here's level 16. Let's see how much of a bonus he gets. There's 18 response speed, and imagine how
Well, that's going to help a fair amount. Look at that. Just like that, all of our stats are in the green.
And BT finally using one of his extra heal mores. He definitely can afford to do this. And the agility is going to help him run from Armored Knights so much.
Yeah, he probably feels a lot safer now. Of course, it's hard to say how he feels when he already had taken some Sherlock death, but at least as far as this level goes, quite cozy. And BT demonstrating Sherlock in the dark, I say, as he puts on the Radiant spell.
He did this last time. I think if he gets stuck on this floor, he's just going to cast Radiant and keep going in general. And he still has all 13 heal mores. Didn't waste one there.
Right, a little bit of wiggle room there for casting some small spells. I like to do this myself sometimes a little bit too. If I know like the floor or something very well, like say the grave, and know then I'm going to be going downstairs after that, I might just cast Radiant a little further down just to be sure I have light the whole way.
I've been talking about both players' aggressive spirit throughout the seed. You just can't help but admire both players' fighting spirit. BT, in this specific instance, trying so desperately to go through Sherlock at all costs, holding on to those heal mores, not caring about the next level, just trying to do it as fast as possible. And we've seen lots of that from MisterHomes as well. It's so unfortunate that he hasn't been able to find the Rainbow Drop Cave, but that happens sometime. This map is huge, and there are so many little crevices.
Yeah, there's a lot of map to explore in this one, and unfortunately something can just stay away from you at this point. And I mean, to his credit, he kept the race super, super close until this point here where he's just missing one thing. But, you know, that doesn't mean to say the race is over. BT is very, very safe, but if something wrong were to happen in Sherlock and Mr. Holmes were to find the Rainbow Drop Cave, the situation could turn around. I have to imagine Mr. Holmes is very close to the next level as well.
I'm looking at BT's numbers. It should take 12 attacks on average to beat the Dragon Lord. And he currently has 13 heal more, so he's in a very comfortable spot with lots of extra HP. He doesn't have the Death Necklace, so that's not a consideration. It doesn't matter. You could win with or without it at this point, but the extra HP is going to afford him double attacks as well here and there. So yeah, he really doesn't need to hold on to heal mores. And he's almost there regardless.
Yeah, I feel like in a situation like this, it's almost preferable to have the extra HP. But, you know, different players will have their preferences.
BT has seen the other side of the coin as Game Boy earlier in the week in the semifinals, trying to find the Rainbow Drop Cave, having that be the only thing left to find. And just taking a lot of extra time to find it. It's just what can happen in Randomizer on a huge map like this. This map is just a perfect example. The second continent is enormous.
Yeah, and it's so easy to miss something by accident. I mean, that happened to me last night in a race too. If you're just walking around a lot and just sort of miss like a single tile that can turn into a giant land bridge or something, it can definitely be frustrating. Anyway, BT is a fool. And we'll be fighting the Dragon Lord. The first fights could be pretty fast, and because he does have that extra heal more, it's going to be I feel like a pretty easy fight as long as the menuing goes well.
I like that he only took 1 damage. Despite the low agility throughout the scene, only 1 damage attack, DL1.
Alright, you want to do some math?
17. 32.
You're very good at adding numbers.
Oh, thank you.
This is why I give you this job.
50, and you can already see BT is going to have a ton of extra heal mores left over. Even the 4 power that he got gave, you know, maybe a couple extra heal mores of wiggle room. 67 on the 4th attack.
Yeah, his rolls are very consistent.
A double attack there puts him up to 85, and I don't even think that'll be the last double attack. It's just so likely. There's 98, and yeah, he's going to heal more to full or near full here. And he's got good odds for a double attack.
So I believe this is the actual peninsula where the jerk lives, and Mr. Holmes finally finds and will be able to make the rainbow drop.
130, BT is likely 2 attacks away from winning. And that could be the last heal more. Although I think, yeah, he'll use another one here. He's at 143 now. He's not going to take any chances with a low roll, of course. But now we're down to the last 2 attacks, or possibly 1. And that's 161.
Wow.
BT doesn't have to heal more again, and GG BT, very well played. An incredibly close race. It's unfortunate we couldn't see the end be so close as well, just because of the Rainbow Drop Cave, but Mr. Holmes was there step for step throughout. This was an amazingly exciting race to watch, and very fitting for a 3rd place match. GG BT, and well played, Mr. Holmes.
So BT finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 and 20 seconds, and unfortunately Mr. Holmes does decide to forfeit. So very soon, we will hopefully be getting our runners in chat here, and we can talk about what we just watched. Hello.
The BT is in here. There we go. Hello, BT.
Yeah, you can't ambush people that join servers that require push to talk.
So, unfortunately, Mr. Holmes is choosing to decline the interview. Wants to mention that he gives much congratulations to BT. He's not feeling that great right now, unfortunately. So, if you're listening, well played, Mr. Holmes. Until the very end, it was very close. But hello, BT. What a fun little joy for us to watch. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I got a palindrome time on my screen. It's a good way to go out.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1, I guess.
Yeah, like the final score. It's 1 to 3 to 1.
So congratulations on making third place. This couldn't have been a better, closer race, other than Mr. Holmes unfortunately not finding the Rainbow Drop Cave. And I know you got it fairly early in your exploration for the 2 final key places. Experience was not only even virtually throughout, but it was changing hands rapidly as both of you are fighting those 255 experience enemies. I don't think the experience lead ever reached 700 on either side.
Wow. Well, that seems to be a byproduct of that seed. You couldn't get anywhere without fighting something that gave you 84 or more experience, so it kind of makes sense. We'd be within 10 battles of each other.
Indeed. You dove into the grave first and got the sword first, and so you got an experience lead of a little over 100 very early. And I was telling everyone it's not going to make that much of a difference because Mr. Holmes is going to go in there as soon as he something kills him and sends him back. But yeah, you played it really well from there. I mean, there's so much you have to do: exploration, keeping yourself healthy and alive. You really played it really well.
You guys got to take me back to the beginning. I didn't know what to do. I was like, sweet, heal more. Oh, Swamp Lock. Does he want to reseed? Does he want to reseed? He's not saying anything. I've done something horribly wrong. He doesn't want to reseed.
We were very curious about whether or not you two would want to reseed. But just by the way things unfolded, it definitely looked like it could be an interesting start, and it definitely was. Like, he took the early lead. You found the sword, and about 10 minutes in took the lead. And then by around 38 minutes in, you two were just like within, an enemy or two the entire rest of the game.
Yeah.
Wow. I did get some lucky things, but I also got some really unlucky things.
Yeah.
GG, Mr. Holmes, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks very much.
GG, Mr. Holmes. Thank you so much for the race.
Yes, absolutely. That was an interesting one. I'm curious how I was doing at the beginning because I didn't feel like I was doing great.
Everything was virtually equal throughout the entire race. I think you got the first magician kill, and so you were leveling first. Then BT got the sword a little bit before you, so he took the lead. Then you got the sword and started exploring in that corner, and you narrowed the gap. It never became more than 100 and something, and then you equalized it, and the lead just changed hands rapidly many times for the next half hour.
Cool, yeah, and it's kind of a misnomer to say I was exploring that 3-tile desert.
Oh, I meant to say grinding.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't originally want to hop in here because my head's just not in the right place and I'm kind of exhausted. But I'd like to just make a quick little statement. I would like to thank a lot of people for this tournament, mainly Game Boy and all the other admins. A huge shout out to Randomizer for offering so much support, often just having to spend time restreaming the races and multiple races in the same day. They did an amazing job. Thanks to all the community, all the amazing people who joined the tournament, tons of new people, and thanks a lot for all the people watching. I've had an incredible amount of support, and so I appreciate all of it. So I hope to see you all soon, and we can cheer on the 2 finalists. Thanks so much.
Very well said, Mr. Holmes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you as well.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure watching your matches.
So many entertaining races and such a deep run. Very entertaining. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, everybody.
You as well.
You too.
What a tournament indeed, and it's going to come down to one more tomorrow. Game Boy with a 1-0 lead in the best 2 out of 3 in the grand finals, which will resume 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow evening. This tournament has been going for, I think, around 3 months now, and interest has just kept going. There have been, most nights, I mean most nights of the week, we've had 2 races every single night, which is very different from last year. It makes me so happy to see so many people who want to play so much, and it's been so entertaining and informative. I've learned so much from other players watching them play, and there have been so many new players who have climbed way up the charts this year, so many veterans as well. BT being one of those veterans, having an incredibly strong run through this tournament and lots of strong races over the past few weeks. Very nice to see.
Thanks, Nessie.
So I think you should watch this one back, because again, we couldn't have asked. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks so much.
I just want to know, did MisterHomes use the harp?
I don't believe he did. I think you were the only one who went for harp strats. So I'm not sure how the king feels about you inviting the red dragon to the castle, but it was a learning experience.
I'd never seen that before, ever.
I was laughing hysterically in my chair for a good 2 minutes after that red dragon appeared, and I never used that harp ever again.
No. This harp is cursed. Give it to the old man.
He knows how to handle it.
But yeah, we were talking about harp strats in the event that nobody could heal and get off the swamp. It would have been different, but of course both of you were able to do that. MisterHomes actually fought a magician in the swamp. It was just a lucky encounter. I think the next zone for you was a different one once you got out of the swamp, but you handled it well.
When I found that herb, my plan was to get that Magidrake, so walk off the swamp, heal up, kill the Magidrake, level up, use the herb if I needed to, and just try and fight my way on that tile. But I just got funneled back into the sword chest.
Yeah, and that worked out really well, getting it so early, of course. I was talking about how you like to forgo gold grinds a lot, and given how low the agility was, I was pretty glad that you set one up. It seemed pretty likely that it could play a major part. And, we can remark now that, you got the agility you needed at that extra level that you were literally forced into. I know you didn't want to get it, but ultimately the shield could have helped you a lot, and I think it was the right decision.
I felt the gold grind was mandatory. When I finally checked both shops, and the best thing I can get was a chainmail and no shields, I knew that I had to do something. I remember seeing the magic armor for sale, and I went up to 220 just in case. I'd already mapped out a bunch of the other continent, so I knew I was going to find a town just by probability, and I had enough survivability to justify the extra gold. Then I happened into Cole, and they had a shield for sale, and I snapped it up in about 11 frames, or however many it takes.
Snapped it up.
Yeah, it was definitely a good decision on your part. It worked very well. MisterHomes had also gotten the silver shield, but found it before he had enough money for that, so did also have to make another trip back for that.
Yeah, what a cruel overworld. Can you imagine with maybe 12 less strength that we would have to deal with red dragons everywhere?
Oh man.
And they were in all the caves too.
They were attached to the harp. They were basically the harp strings.
I mean, I've had seeds where I had to fight red dragons about 12 damage per attack, something like that. We've seen that kind of thing before, and of course, just imagining what it would have been like in this seed. I was really glad that you guys were able to beat Armored Knights when you could. I liked your decision to go back to Hawksness in case the armor was there. You knew you could beat the Armored Knight, and it was so valuable experience-wise for you.
Yeah, he got me the first time, but when I came back for my sweet vengeance and the full MP tank, he was mine for the taking. And that was a really productive level up there, and a lot of information. Even if you don't find the armor, you learn a lot when you search that tile in Hawksness.
Absolutely. If it ever comes down to a race where you don't need to find the coordinates, I mean, this would have been it. That information changed things.
I hope everyone in chat groaned as they saw the coordinates appear, because That's like, well, he's got to get the princess. He's got to use a key. He's got to walk out there. And so I was like, well, the armor appears to be adjacent to Sharlock. I'll just heal up, get the armor, and we'll step in. But man, it was way out there.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes got a little unlucky there too, as he'd explored most of the north, and the Rainbow Drop was just 2 peninsulas south of where the armor was. We all thought he was going to get them both at the same time, and unfortunately, he just didn't find the Rainbow Drop cave at that point, and that was pretty much where the window closed. It was so close throughout, and even though Mr. Holmes had to find 2 locations when you had already found the Rainbow Drop, seeing the coordinates so close just made us wonder, is this going to be a photo finish at the end yet again?
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible. That's the first thing I asked him in chat when the race ended, was that, like, how far back were you? And then he mentioned that the cave was eluding him. But my strategy for mapping has changed, I guess adapted, since the new logic made the 2-continent thing possible. The thing that used to trip me up is when there was a lot of contiguous land, and then I wouldn't check the non-coastal areas. So I learned to do like a sweeping pattern to try and take in like all 49 tiles at a time, and because I don't otherwise map. If it's a complicated map or I die a lot, or if I find the jerk without the ingredients, I have to write it down because I'll never find it again. But for this map, I didn't write anything down, and I just memorized the coastline. And the jerk cave being on the coast really benefit from that strategy.
It's nice that can work out for you. I did my first dozen mapping, and then just a race came up where I couldn't find Garin in 10 minutes, and I guess the Rainbow Drop cave was there or something. And that was when I decided I can't let that happen anymore. Map. If you can get 3rd place in a tournament without mapping most or all of anything, that is phenomenal to me, and I can't congratulate you enough. Such an awesome performance.
Oh, well, thanks. The only problem is I can't race twice in one night. The memory fills.
I mean, I know what that's like. Even sometimes I think I have something that I got in the previous race or something like that. That's something we're all susceptible to.
Yeah, shoutouts to McGrew. This is such a fun program, and it can be so mean, but it's still so fun most of the time, and I think all of those mean seeds where you get stuck are just completely wiped away by having, great crew and opponents and just people that want to race for no reason at all. You guys are great. You and Sparkover especially, Nescard, for picking up commentary here. It makes it so surreal and so awesome. And I know, deep down you love video games in just such a simple, enamored way that I'm glad it rubs off on us. And it's been an absolute pleasure racing with you and keeping you sharp for those Game Boy matches coming up.
That's beautiful. And you really have. I'm so glad that you're one of the many people who wants to play every night, and then I can somehow tear you away from Zelda with the lure of a randomizer race. That's awesome.
You are the main reason Zelda has a stale world record. It's your fault.
Oh no! I don't want to hold you from that.
No, I'm kidding. There's no way no one will touch that time.
Well, we could easily talk all night, but I think that pretty much says it all. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Thank you to all the staff behind the scenes, Yoni Man and Cyberdark covering the restream and tracking and everything. My co-commentator Sparkover.
That's me.
Our incredibly professional and well-skilled opponents, BT and Mr. Holmes, tonight. Again, couldn't have provided a closer race right through the entire first hour, which was the vast majority of the race. And everyone else who has been a part of this, as was already mentioned, covering all those streams, especially in the early rounds when we had to do multiple races every night of the week. It's just been an incredible production, and I really am looking forward to a fantastic finish tomorrow evening. So for all of us here, thank you all. I'm overwhelmed. I mean, this event is just such a huge success, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying it so much. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the conclusion.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic many weeks with all of you. I mean, again, I'm just going to restate thank you to like anybody who has spent any time, restreaming, tracking, commentating, racing, hanging out in chat, everything. This is an amazing community. You are all lovely, and thank you so much for just all of the participation. And that's about everything. So I hope we will all see each other tomorrow night for the grand finale of the tournament with NES Cardinality versus Game Boy F9.
Till then, have a wonderful night, everyone.
Take care, all.